Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Nagier Chambers. I'm representing the Culture Collective, and it is truly an honor to welcome you all to today's Blurred Roundtable for Amazon MGM Studios Mercy, hitting theaters January 23rd. As a proud member of the Blurred community, spaces like this matter. This is where fandom, culture, technology, storytelling collide, and Mercy sits right in that intersection. Before we dive in, I just want to say up front, Mercy is the first must-see edge of your seat thriller of the year. It is intense, it is gripping, it is relentless, and once again, Timur Begmamedov pushes screen life drama to the next level. This film doesn't just use technology, it questions it. Before we get started, I'm very excited to announce we have two incredible actors with us today. Chris Pratt, who stars as Detective Chris Raven, and Kaylee Reis, his partner, Detective Jacqueline Jack Diallo. In Mercy, which is set in 2029, Detective Raven finds himself on trial, accused of murdering his wife. He has 90 minutes to prove his innocence in an advanced AI judge, a system he once championed before it determines his fate. The clock is ticking, technology is watching, and the truth is anything but simple. Now, I want to take a moment to welcome and introduce six of the best journalists in this room today. It's a complete honor to share the space with you all. We have Dana Abercrombie, Felipe Patterson, Nick Hamilton, Chalice Williams, and Sherin Nicole. Now, let's kick things off, and then followed by me will be Dana. My question is to the both of you all, Chris and Kaylee. There's been a line in this film that's been lingering with me here. We do what we're programmed to do. Human and AI, we all make mistakes. Now, I know this film takes place in 2029, but we're having these real conversations about automation, algorithms, and accountability here in 2026. From your perspective, how does that idea land in today's world? What do you think the film is saying about responsibility when technology starts reflecting our human flaws back at us? Thank you.
Question.
That's a deep
That's a
question.
loaded question.
That's a big one.
Deep question. We're starting off real deep today. You want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for having us here. We're really excited to be talking Mercy with you guys. It's a great question, and I wouldn't have known how to answer this until yesterday when I was talking to our director, who's a bit of like a madman. You know, he's always been on the cutting edge of technological advances when it comes to filmmaking, and he's super into AI. And he said something that actually I was thinking, I'm getting goosebumps. I was thinking about it going home. He said, AI is going to watch this movie. Like, it's going to learn about how we perceive AI by watching this movie and digesting, because it's always learning everything, you know? And the fact that we put in, hey, we all make mistakes and then we learn from them. It felt like us trying to say to AI, you don't have to be Terminator. You know, you can be better than that. I felt like part of it is like us trying to, you know, negotiate with AI and to ultimately show examples of grace to AI, which is a good thing. Humans should always have space for grace in our lives and forgiveness for people. And it's true, humans are always making mistakes and we learn and we try to do better. Maybe the AI will pick up a little bit of that from watching this movie. You know, it's all right to mess up. You just don't do it again, and also don't turn into giant bots that come and hunt us either. Don't do that either. You know what I mean? That had me thinking about it.
Yep. No, that's a good point. I didn't hear him say that, but
Yeah.
that makes you think. I think with kind of going off of what you said, Chris, and thank you for having us. Hello to everybody. Yeah, that's a good point because, you know, the difference we have as humans is free will to make that choice to do better. And, you know, AI may be programmed, as you said, to your point, Chris, to like, or learn from their mistakes and kind of keep going, driving that train forward to learn and do better. But then you wonder, what is the perspective of AI to do better? What's the perspective of AI to do worse? So what's better for humanity versus what's better for the machine? So I have so many mixed thoughts about AI, good, bad, whatever. There's always pros and cons, but that's actually really good to kind of really consider and digest is, you know, we have free will to do better. It's kind of in our hands still to kind of use this tool and really see what we want to do with this tool, what we want to show. It's just like raising a child almost. Like, what do you want? How do you want this to be? What do you want our world to be with this AI? I think has many positive things, but it's all in the hands. It's, you know, if you train a dog to be bad, it's going to be bad. If you, you know, use tools to be bad, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very we can go on for hours talking about this, but it's a really good question for everybody to ask themselves too.
Hello, Dana Abercrombie, the Koalition. I was fascinated with this film, especially with Chris's character, of trying to find not both the humanity, but to convince a robot, essentially, the complexities of a human emotion. So I was wondering, was there a psychological approach that you took to the script where you're trying to prove that, humans are more than just one thing? And even though you yourself may not know whether or not you did this crime, but there are different, not outcomes, but there are different reasons as to what could have happened.
Yeah, there are, it's a mystery that's unpacked as we start the movie, both in terms of what the audience understands about this character, but also what this character is learning about himself, and in learning to reveal about himself in this courtroom. And so for me, what I was trying to prepare was playing a character, essentially removing aspects of myself to reveal something, to reveal this character. And ultimately, it came down to a very pivotal moment for me that I knew that if I could get that right, that the movie would really work, which was the moment when nobody knows if he did this or not, including him. That it's not outside of the realm of possibility that he could have done it. There's a certain level of darkness within the character. So psychologically, as I was approaching it, I was just trying to think, if I lived, I always just try to imagine myself as the character, but just a completely different set of circumstances in my life that have led me to be that in that space. I'm not always, that's usually my approach with a character, is like, this is me. Just everything in my life is completely different, has led me to a different spot. How do I get out of it? How do these approach? So like the fact that he's got an alcohol problem, that he's gone through the trauma of losing his partner, that he feels disassociated in his relationship from his wife. He feels really guilty for being a bad husband. He's guilty of a lot of things, not necessarily murder, but other things. And so for me, psychologically, how I approached it as this human, and as he's peeling back these layers and also trying to interact with this AI system, it was important to hit that beat where I don't know if I did it or not, and then to start recognizing shreds of humanity within this system that I'm seeing that this thing is all of a sudden using what appears to be intuition, and start ultimately trying to investigate the crime, but also try to crack her the way I would try to crack a suspect in a murder investigation, using my own psychological tools against her to try to get her to do what I wanted her to do. And so those were the beats I was trying to get, like going from confused to pretty sure I did this thing, to being defensive, to being like, all right, the best thing I can do here is try to get out. And the way I'm going to get out is to use my own manipulation against this machine, the way I may have used that against suspects in the past.
Hello, my name is Felipe from Taji and Mag. How are you guys doing today?
Very good. How are you doing?
Good. This question is for both of you guys, and I wanted to add on to that. So we see Detective Raven he confronts his flaws as he's trying to figure out who murdered his wife. So one thing that came to mind for me was, how do you think that power of that AI can be used for good or a path to therapy?
Power of the AI, I think with the information, and with the I guess the speed of the information at which the AI can provide, and when his character's sitting in that chair and trying to go through what he's going through psychologically, he still has this time to try to use this, the time's ticking anyway, you know what I mean? And having that information provided and having all the tools is kind of like, or if you're innocent, you got to prove it, and you have all the tools I have, the same tools I have to presume you guilty is the same tools I have to presume you innocent. So, have this, and really, like, how bad do you really want to prove your innocence, and how bad do you really want this? Are you going to sit and, just stew in it? Or are you going to sit and have some action? So, if I answered your question at all, what do you want to take this?
Well, the question is, kind of repeat that question if you don't mind for me.
Yeah. So how can you use this AI program for the good? Because we saw not only him try to prove himself guilty, but there was some therapy in it. Like he went through the emotions. Right. Yeah, it's to do with the AI.
Yeah, I hear you saying. So yeah, listen, AI as a tool can be used for good. And in terms of if it were to be implemented in the justice system, I think it'd also really be helpful. There's a lot of people sitting in prison right now who are innocent. And the reason they're innocent is they were maybe given a public defender who was inept, and they had to plea out their case because they knew that there was a high likelihood they were just going to be charged with a much worse crime and have to spend even more time in jail. There's a lot of people in that scenario. And I think if you had at least gave a public defender the opportunity to process a million different cases all within 10 seconds and get and arm them with every single facet of the law that would allow for a person to truly defend themselves, then maybe there'd be fewer innocent people behind bars. And I think also if we were able to on the like the prosecuting side of a district attorney and the legal team that's trying to bring violent criminals to justice and bring justice to the families and victims of violent crime, if they had access to every shred of evidence and it wasn't left to detectives and human error wasn't a part of it, maybe they'd be able to process all of that stuff even more. So therefore, they could know with certainty that they could find someone guilty based on evidence, and they wouldn't have to kind of, fudge the system to where they're like, well, we're like 100% sure he did it or she did it, so we're going to make sure this person's guilty. And they might do that because they don't have access to all of the evidence, and their own personal bias might end up putting a person in jail who's innocent. So I think in a major way, I'd be more concerned about it being used to find people guilty and more interested in how it could be helpful to allow a person with presumed innocence to in a way, prove they're not guilty and to maintain that innocence through hyper processing. The speed is such an amazing tool. Why not use it? Why not find case law? Why not be able to defend people better? I think that it's a possibility so it could be used for good in that way, I think.
I think you said something about therapy as well, too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I've heard a lot of people in my life that used some kind of AI because they needed something to kind of unpack. And they had a chat GPT to ask a question. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like I guess it was like a prompt to have their own thoughts, as far as I know how they used it. They were going through an issue, they used it, and it actually made them feel a little better. Now, do I think you should depend on this one thing? No, I think, but for people who don't maybe have an outlet at the time and they really need to talk to somebody, I mean, there's hotlines and everything that you can talk to via chat, but something like that, I feel like that could be beneficial for people who either are ashamed or afraid, haven't done therapy before, or just need a right now, like, I know a lot of times we're human beings. Sometimes you just need to hear that one thing. And if it's through a text message or a chat GPT or something of that sort, I don't see it being a problem for something like that. I just get really leery about being dependent on that one thing. But I can see it be a helpful tool for therapy. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely for therapy. I mean, what therapists are trained, right? There's a protocol they follow. They listen. They offer up. I've done proudly. I've done therapy and do therapy. I think, oftentimes it's just them listening, hearing what you have to say, offering up some possible root causes for, reasons you might be feeling the way that you're feeling. And, it's not offering solutions, it's just listening and kind of affirming you in various things that you believe that you have to be steered back towards. So having it as something that listens is good. Granted, that human connection is really important too. So, but it's expensive, so I want that human connection, but I also don't have $275 an hour to spend on it. So maybe I could ask ChatGPT on this one, and it'll be like, tough it up. Like, thanks.
It depends on the personality of ChatGPT.
Yeah. You're crazy. Hey, what was that?
Hello, everyone. Nick Hamilton, Nitecast Media. Phenomenal film. Love the acting and also the cinematography, which I thought was phenomenal. My question to you both is, when you look at the imperfections of our justice system and how this film kind of showcased that a bit, being that it was an AI machine that was in charge of the judge, jury, and executioner, what were some of the thoughts and emotions that really resonated with you all, not just when you first picked up the script, but as you were filming this movie to its conclusion?
Another good question. I would say, as far as the justice system is concerned, especially from my perspective, I've seen cases or seen things that where, the judge may be having a bad day. The judge may be, he may look like somebody that he don't like or she don't like, or just this may be something happened that morning, and that's where the humanity comes into, and they might be not listening to what the case is going on, and they might make a decision based on a bias that they have against this person or the situation. And in cases like that, if there were just like a strict evidence, a complete evidence, timely manner and actual facts based on, like, not based on emotion in situations like that, that probably, like Chris said, a lot less people in jail that don't need to be there, or a lot of people in jail that need to be there that have some kind of rehabilitative effects to it. So in that aspect, I really look at the justice system like, you know, this can be kind of like a mix here. When you involve, you know, humanity, you have empathy. That's needed in some things like this. You know, that a lot of cases are circumstances. How, you know, how did laws get made anyway? You have laws named after people for their situation, for their specific case. So humanity is very important in things like that. It can't be cut and dry all the time. So it's very convoluted, but something like as basic and surface level like that, that's how I view the justice system. Is definitely going through the script. It made me really kind of revisit that thought. Like, what if it was like this? How would we find like a happy medium for this? You know?
Yeah, I think without giving away too much in the movie, and thank you for complimenting the movie on the acting and the cinematography. I agree. I think Timur did a great job, and Kaylee did a great job acting. You're amazing. You're awesome. Everyone in the cast did a phenomenal job. I think every system, what I thought about though, taking away from this, reading the script, and especially after seeing the movie is, and you know, as the plot unrolls and twists and turns, like I said, it's like kind of entering into spoiler territory here. So if you haven't, you know, maybe don't listen to the next 15 seconds, but if you don't want to be spoiled, but there's every system that is man-made is inherently flawed. There is no perfect system because every system is made by man, and man is broken. And so you take in the case where there's a character here who did something wrong. They didn't think they were doing something wrong. They were acting in their own mind righteously, but it was wrong. And the ramifications of that error fed what is meant to be a perfect system. But that's an example of how human brokenness, being the foundation for any system, makes every system imperfect. There's no such thing as a perfect system. And I think it's a utopian idea to think that there could be some sort of perfect system. All we can ever do is try to make the system as close to perfect as possible. And the best way to do that is to implement the best tools that we have. And I think in terms of using AI, it's an incredible tool. So you could use AI to make any system, whether it's a government system or a system of justice, or you know, whatever system we're creating, capitalism, or we could find a way to hone in and cut some of the human error out. But it's still never going to be perfect. It's still just our best attempt to try to create something that would otherwise, should it be completely be removed, result in utter chaos. And so it's better than nothing, but it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be God. You know, this is based on man, and man is broken, and they make choices that they think are righteous, but are actually foolish and have serious ramifications.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys, Chalice Williams with Geeks of Color. I want to say I have tickets to see this movie 2 more times with 2 different sets of people. I absolutely love it. So I just want to start by saying that. Chris, this question is for you. So we're used to seeing you in these physically demanding roles. And but in Mercy, you're kind of channeling like Professor X, right? Like we do see you kind of confined to the chair for a big portion of the film. How would you describe the challenges of having to do more acting through your tone of voice and facial expressions with limited movement?
That's a great question. Thank you. That was one of the primary challenges that drew me to doing this movie, and it manifests itself in a lot of different ways. One of the main challenges was because I was confined to a chair, I wasn't able to gesticulate, and you know, I'm an active person. I do, like you mentioned, you know, physical things, running away from things, or fighting and dancing, or you know, pratfalls, the kind of comedic stuff. It's all physical comedy. So I wasn't able to rely on that tool, and so it forced me to kind of go internal. And secondly, because I was locked off in an isolated position that wasn't moving, we weren't bouncing from set to set to set. All of the other set pieces are being presented to me and to the audience visually through this digital interface. We did takes that were very, very long, sometimes 60 pages in a row. And that's not normal for film acting or television acting. You might have to memorize 6 pages, or you might be doing like a 3-minute piece, or like a 15-second fight sequence. On a day-to-day basis, it's always something different. Like every day that we were in the chamber, we sat down and we basically did the whole movie. And so that in itself was another challenge. But ultimately, it comes down to the script and to the writing. this is a very active movie. There's a ton of stuff happening around this Mercy chamber, whether it's Jack Diallo cruising around on quadcopters, or there's, you know, trucks plowing through people in downtown Los Angeles, or buildings being blown up, or fight sequences or chase sequences. All this stuff was happening that had all the meat and potatoes of an action thriller. But I'm sort of the audience member in this. So I'm sitting the way you're sitting in a 3D environment. I'm sitting in a 3D environment experiencing this story and trying to fight my way out of it. So the script allowed for a ton of really great emotional beats that might otherwise not be in a big action movie. You know, like I had to learn that my wife died. I had to learn that I'm being tried for this murder. I had to realize that I had to process my daughter as she's processing the fact that her dad might be a murderer. I had to relive the death of my partner. I had to come clean about my sobriety. I had to come clean about the fact that I was a bad husband. All that stuff in one movie, and also in one long take, was a real challenge. But it didn't require me to move too much, because all of that stuff is happening inside. And so, despite the fact that I'm sitting stationary, it's an active movie, and there was plenty for me to be able to go from one emotion to the next.
Thank you. Phenomenal film, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sherin Nicole from Riot, and this question is for both of you. For Chris Raven and Jack, there are moments where they have to interrogate themselves and figure out who they truly are, and then what they're willing to do to prove it. And so I'm wondering, what are the characteristics that keep them both believing in themselves?
For Jack, I would say she is a very, very, we worked on our back, we talked about our backstories extensively, which was really good for us, especially because we don't really share the same space at all. We just share screen space, you know. Jack is running around trying to help him out. So with Jack, I had to really be solid on the decisions that she made and where did they come from? Because, you know, all that decision making a lot of times comes from our past. Like, all right, this happened, so this is how I'm going to go forward with these types of decisions. So it was really important for me to have something solid. Trigger words like don't call her Jackie, call her Jack. You know, there's all these types of reasons that I had it. But her sense of justice, because of things, she had unjust things done to her in her environment, and her decision making is based on what's better for the whole, as she thinks, because she has experienced that big unjust moment in her life, and you know, it trickled down and made her world crazy, and it made her world really bad. So she doesn't want to see anybody else suffer, and so she thinks no matter what, these are the decisions that are going to be made, and she's very solid in her decisions. So I had to make sure I really understood who she was at the core to make it make sense for her and this character to go forward. And especially with her partnership with Chris, you know, there's a lot of conflicting with what she believes, and also what she believes, what kind of partner she is, you know what I mean? So she had and also this is all in 90 minutes, you know, this fast thinking. So that partnership she had a lot of decisions to make, which is more important right now. Is it the whole, is it this situation? But really being grounded in the decisions that she made, of why she even is behind Mercy, because she is like definitely all for Mercy Court, and she has her reasons for it. Being grounded in that really helped me into kind of believe this character and what she was doing every step of the way.
And for my character, I think the reason he would believe in himself, I always took it as his, you know, his superpower, if you will, is his intuition and his discernment, his ability to read people.
You're playing a hunch. What is a hunch?
Trust in my gut. And I'm beginning to think this court could do with a little human intuition.
This court deals only in facts.
The facts aren't where the investigation ends, it's where it starts. Facts are black and white. The truth is always in the gray in between. I guess this court overlooked that. Or were you just programmed wrong?
And it takes a dramatic journey, because my intuition tells me that this is a crime of passion. But I have to reveal to the judge, and probably to the world who would watch a broadcast of this trial, that I wasn't even passionate enough about my life or my marriage to commit a crime of passion.
Yeah,
that's hard, you know, when you're saying, like, here's the reason I'm innocent. I'm a terrible husband. Like, you know, like you have to actually submit and fully admit the darkest parts about yourself to let yourself off the hook. And so I thought that was the reason he thought, so his intuition ultimately is why he believes in himself. But and you know, yeah, I think that's it. And then also finding a relationship with Maddox, who he's starting to recognize that she too is starting to see me differently than the other people that are in this chair. Like there's something about her. She's in a way trying to defend me for some reason. And so seeing her in that feedback loop there which in my mind started as a manipulation, is I was like, I'm going to get her to believe that I'm innocent so she can help me. But then she kind of outsmarts me, but then still does it anyways. And I go, okay, well, maybe she does believe something about me.
Yeah. Thank you both. You touched on my favorite moments with your characters. So thank you.
Great.
Well, once again, thank you all for joining today. It truly means a lot to have you all here, everyone here. And as a reminder to everyone watching and listening, Mercy only in theaters January 23rd. Join the conversation online, #MercyMovie on Instagram @MercyMovie, Facebook Mercy the Movie, and the official website mercymovie.com. Kaylee and Chris, thank you so much and congratulations on this project.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thank you.